Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show y'all in this video how not to remove Pampas grass. Again, this video is to show y'all how not to remove Pampas grass. Now, Pampas grass, the mature takes about 3 to 5 years before it actually mature and become fully grown. 3 to 5 years for it to actually to be fully grown, and the height would be about 10 feet tall. As you see, these are fully grown, and it is, I think it's a little bit more than 10 feet once I stand close to it. So what I did was I started cutting from the bottom. Well, first let's start out with this is my mom's house. So I decided to pay her a visit, as I always do. And I was just walking around her garden just to see what type of weeds need to be cut. So of course I never knew that Pampas grass had to be cut, which it has to be cut every year. So this is an annual cut, and I had no idea that these actually supposed to be cut. So as you see, these has never been cut before. Again, 3 to 5 years for it to mature, and it grows 10 feet tall. And if you don't cut them, they will continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. So this is what you do not need to do. So what I did was I grabbed my clippers and I just started cutting away. So in the previous, I don't know if you noticed that I had started cutting the Pampas grass from the bottom, and which is the right thing to do. But later on, what I should have done was grab a rope and tie the rope around the Pampas grass. And once it started getting smaller and smaller, then have the other person pull the cord, and then once the cord gets smaller, and then it'll actually come down into one piece instead of several pieces, as you see right here. So I'm actually doing it the wrong way. Well, it's not really the wrong way as long as it's getting cut down, but I'm doing it the long way, I should say. So this is the long way of how to cut down the Pampas grass, which you do not want to do, because you don't want to spend all day doing this, which it actually took me all day doing this. It took 2 days for me to actually cut down all these Pampas grass. And another thing, you want to make sure that you are wearing long sleeves, long pants, and gloves, sunglasses, glasses, or whatever to protect your eyes. And you can throw on a hat if you don't want to mess up your hair. Like I didn't want to mess up my hair. And the reason why is because again, I didn't know that much about Pampas grass until I actually finished cutting down all the Pampas grass. And Pampas grass is actually sticky, and it has like little spikes on it. And I did get cut even though I had on long sleeves and pants and socks. For some reason, it got underneath my shirt. So I do have some marks on my arm, but a little bit of aloe vera on my arm, and of course the scars will go away. But it is painful if you do get cut by these sharp edges of the leaves called Pampas grass. As you see, I'm just raking. Once I cut, I rake, I cut, I rake, cut, and rake. And again, it takes about 2 people to do this, because again, you want to make sure you start cutting from the bottom and work your way up to the top. And then once it gets smaller, the rope will get smaller, and then you pull the rope, and then all of it will come down into one piece instead of several pieces like I'm doing now. And because I did this by myself, you know, I had no help, but I think I did a pretty darn good job. Once you see towards the end, you will notice. So right now I'm using my electric edge cutter, and the only thing that I'm doing, I'm just cutting on the ends, just around. I'm not cutting the top portion because again, it's kind of hard if you cut the top, and you don't want your edge cutter to be dull by the time you finish this. So I'm just basically just actually cutting around, getting the loose ends. And this is actually day 2. So again, it took 2 days to actually cut all this down. As you see behind me, all the debris. Did you see? It's a lot. It's a lot. So that's why I said this is not how you want to remove the pampas grass, because at the end of the day, it's gonna take another day to remove all the debris off the ground. So again, it took 2 days for me to actually cut down all the pampas grass. 2 days. And it took a day and a half to actually remove the pampas grass. Well, I'm not gonna say a day and a half. It just took me an extra day to remove all the pampas grass. Because actually, once you cut it down, you're actually tired. You don't feel like removing anything. You just want to relax and chill out for the remainder of the day. But the type of person that I am, once I start something, I just like to finish. I just like to finish, to get it over with. This is a lot of work. It took a lot of work, a lot of, I was going to say manpower, but it's actually woman power because I am a female. So it took a lot of work, but anybody can do this. But again, you want to make sure that you have at least 2 people to work with if somebody is willing to help you, because it's a whole lot easier, especially once you start cutting down the middle part. They can actually pull the rope on one end, or you can use a bungee cord or rubber band or whatever type of cord that you have to wrap around the pampas grass. And then once you start cutting the middle, it'll come down into one piece instead of all this. As you see, this is a lot. It's a lot. And I believe this is actually the last one. And by this time, I was extremely tired, but I kept going. I kept going. I kept pushing. I kept saying, come on, girl, you could do it. You could do it. Push through it. This is the last one. And it seems like always the last one is where you get exhausted. You just want to quit, and that's it. As you see, they're down. All of it is cut down, so I'm just removing the debris out in front of it. Just trimming up the last little bit that I see that is straggling along. Yes, this is a lot. It's a lot of work, but I managed to do it. So I know if I can do it, anybody can do it. Anyone can do it. It's a mind thing, that's all. So the fun part, well, it's not really fun because by this time I'm tired, don't feel like moving anything else, don't feel like cutting down. So I just moved. I bought a tarp to replace the debris, to place debris on top of the tarp, which would be easier for me to actually drag the remaining of the grass. So I was just placing it on the top and I was tired, extremely tired. So I only moved one section on this particular day. And then the next day I came back and then removed the remaining. Because once I took this first pull, I was like, oh my gosh, no, not today. I'm tired. See, I could barely even pull it. I could barely pull it because I was that exhausted. But this is the end result. This is the end result. This is how it actually looks once all of it has been cut down. And actually, they look dead. They do. They look dead, but they're really not dead because you actually supposed to cut them down once a year. You're supposed to trim them up once a year. And if you look closely at the pampas grass, you would notice that the new sprout was starting to pop out. So if you look really closely, you would see the new sprout starting to pop out. And you actually supposed to cut these down late winter, early springtime. So I actually just did this last weekend, which was, it's still winter here in North Carolina. So as you see the little greenery. And this is the end result. So I placed some pine needles down, which you do not have to do. You don't have to place down anything because once it starts to grow, it's going to grow on top of the pine needles. But what I did not like was the bald spots in the grass from where the pampas grass was actually growing. So, and this is it, guys. This is how not to remove pampas grass.